House committee can't stop a child murderer's execution. It's November 15th, 2024, and these are your headlines. The Supreme Court of Texas has ruled that a maneuver by some members of the Texas House to delay the execution of convicted child murderer last month was a violation of separation of powers. The case in question surrounds child killer Robert Roberson, who was convicted of killing his 2-year-old daughter Nikki in 2002 in Palestine. Last month, just moments before his scheduled execution, the Texas Supreme Court issued a temporary stay after members of the House Criminal Jurisprudence Committee, led by Democrat Joe Moody, issued a subpoena for Roberson to appear before their committee. That scheme was challenged by many Republicans, including Governor Greg Abbott, who said the committee stepped out of line in issuing the subpoena at literally the 11th hour. While the latest ruling from the Texas Supreme Court acknowledges legislative committee's power to issue subpoenas even to inmates, that power does not extend to delaying executions, as the committee clearly attempted. In the opinion, he wrote, "We conclude that under these circumstances, the committee's authority to compel testimony does not include the power to override the scheduled legal process leading to an execution. We do not repudiate legislative investigatory power, but any testimony relevant to a legislative task here could have been obtained long before the death warrant was issued or even afterwards, but before the execution." That clearly didn't happen. That was Justice Evan Young, by the way, who wrote that opinion. In a statement, Joe Moody and Republican State Representative Jeff Leach, who's been a big part of this as well, claimed that delaying Roberson's execution was never their specific intention. Now, Roberson's new execution date will be determined by the trial court, can't take place sooner than 90 days from now. Andy Hopper, an incoming Texas state representative, is proposing an amendment to the state constitution establishing a right to refuse vaccinations. House Joint Resolution 91 would amend the Texas Constitution to declare that an individual has the unalienable and natural right to refuse a vaccine. The vaccination status of an individual may not be made a condition of employment, travel, school, or other educational institution attendance, conducting business, receiving governmental services, or any other action in the state. That's according to the resolution's text. Now, if it receives 2/3 support in both the House and the Senate, voters would have an opportunity to ratify or reject the amendment in the next November election in 2025. Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, the founder of Americans for Health Freedom, commended the measure in an X post on Thursday. She said, "First in the country, Representative-elect for HD 64 in Texas filed HJR 91 proposing a constitutional amendment regarding the right to refuse a vaccine. This is the beginning and more is coming." Hopper told Texas Scorecard that he filed the proposed amendment to forever protect Texans from being coerced by any person or entity to take a vaccine in order to participate in society.
America is at a crossroads. Now, more than ever, Texas must step up and lead the country. We don't have time to mess around. The only way to save America is with a strong Texas. You and I know this, but so do the enemies of life and liberty. Therefore, you and I have no choice but to stand up and fight. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, and to the enemies of liberty, I say, come and take it.
A new measure has been filed that would empower the Texas Department of Public Safety to perform rapid DNA testing of illegal aliens. It's filed by State Representative Terry Leo Wilson. House Bill 256 would empower the Department of Public Safety to perform these DNA tests on people who illegally enter Texas through the Mexico border. The act would require DPS to work with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and targets groups of foreign nationals suspected of lying about familial status. If passed, the program's implementation would start on September 1st. Last year, after visiting the border, U.S. Senator Ted Cruz strongly expressed the need for DNA testing in order to prevent child trafficking. Without providing concrete reasons for doing so, the Biden-Harris administration had quietly ended their rapid DNA testing program, according to the Center for Immigration Studies. For more of today's stories, go to TexasScorecard.com.